Hello and welcome to another episode of Soul Nectar Show, that show where we talk about all things essence, where we gather around the campfire and we share our stories of connection to that which is bigger than us, to the great mystery beyond the veil, the man behind the curtain, or the woman. And we really connect with the mystical part of life, the journey that is like a magic door, where it's just so different on the other side from what you experienced up until now. And then the door presents itself, you walk through, and life is so different. Even as you're in the same body and in the same space, everything has changed. And I love these stories of connection to that mystical space, that other realm, because it really helps us to open up our perspectives about what this experience on earth is really all about. And I'm your host, Carrie Hummingbird. So I welcome you to the show. And I invite you, if you want to take this journey for yourself, if you're like, hey, I want to know more about my mystical journey, I want to know about my soul and my connection and what my purpose is, and I want to deepen into that. And wherever you are in that understanding of yourself, I welcome you to have a conversation with me, and let's get to talk and understand each other and see if there's an opportunity to have me walk by your side for a little while on that journey. You can go to my website, kerrihummingbird.com, Kerri, hummingbird.com, and we can have a 15-minute chat or longer and just see what comes of it. It's always in the unfolding and the inquiry, and that's the most important part of the journey, in my opinion, is to be open to the journey. So today I have a really beautiful guest, Emma Cairo. Welcome, Emma, to the show.
Thank you, Carrie. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I loved our conversation when we first met and we connected, because it's just so beautiful. What Emma is bringing forward, I find to be really, really beautiful. You get to decide for yourself. But so Emma is an intuitive and professional singer, a vølve, which is a Nordic sorceress, and a certified reiki healer. She is inspired by her roots, the spiritual traditions of the North, the Seiðr and Galdr, what we call today Nordic shamanism. And Emma grew up in Denmark, raised by a Norwegian mother who worked as a therapist and who practiced Reiki, and her father was a jazz musician. And so Emma gained an interest for both music and spiritual teachings early in life, and then had a really pivotal experience where she realized what she was here to do, and we're going to hear about that today. So I love this topic because of the way it talks. It weaves in things I love. It weaves in healing and ancestry and magic and shamanism and singing. It's like all the things I love, like bam, in one conversation. And I know we're going to touch on so many points of it. So Emma, tell us a little bit about that pivotal experience you had. Like, what was your journey like to discovering your purpose, and what was it like growing up with, a mom who practiced Reiki and did all that kind of stuff, and a dad who was a jazz musician? I mean, tell us more.
Well, it was definitely a little bit different than most people in Denmark. My mom was, very into all the new age stuff. So we would sometimes during the summer we would go to these camps with all these hippies and new age type folks, and the kids, we would be playing outside in nature, and then the adults would do all their stuff inside, and it would be biodynamic vegetables and this kind of experience. So it was different, but I didn't feel like it was, I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel that no one was like teasing me because I came from a more eccentric environment. So I just, I was in harmony, in balance with it, for sure. And I grew up with my mom, so I only saw my dad on the weekends. So they were separated, yeah.
What an interesting experience to have this consciousness, and to be surrounded by a community of people that were involved in consciousness at a time when people were maybe just awakening to this overall, and people are still awakening to it. So let's be honest, there's a very small segment of the population up until now that's been open to this kind of conversation.
Right. Yeah. It was definitely unique. Yeah.
So growing up that way introduced you to energy and to perception of energy from a pretty early age, because there's no way you can grow up in that environment and not become aware of it.
Yeah, I was very interested in all this stuff as well. I would, I started reading these spiritual books as well when I was maybe around 10 years old. Um, I would always have very intense dreams where I felt like there were messages coming through. So in that way, I did feel I had an idea of energy work, but it wasn't in the same way as I now feel now being a Reiki healer myself. Um, but I was definitely very aware of it. And also my mom being a family therapist, it also just made me very, open-minded and learning good conversational skills, asking the right questions of people and getting skills to really listen to people and know what to say if you have if people were having issues. So that was very beneficial, I feel, to grow
It
up in
made you
this way.
empathetic to other people's experiences.
Right. Yeah. Just being raised in that environment where you're so focused on how are you feeling, I think that was very beneficial.
Yeah, how are you feeling is not a question that's always asked
Right.
in households with little kids.
Yeah. Here we say, how are you?
Yeah.
But people usually don't really mean it. And it took me a while after moving to the US, it took me a while to understand that they weren't actually asking how I was doing or feeling.
Yeah, they were just, it's sort of a platitude. It's like, oh, how are you
Right.
doing? Oh, you're supposed to say, oh, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah.
It's like you just gloss right over, don't really want to know, just being nice, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I probably came across a little bit eccentric for a long time because I would actually reply, oh, this happened today, so I feel a little out of it, or, being honest about how I feel. But I've learned that sometimes it's just best to say, I'm good, how are you?
Right. Well, the customs, but actually we're moving out of that now. We're moving out of that into more of what you experienced as a child, actually. The honesty of like, hey, yeah, I've got some stuff going on right now. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. And I see that with, a lot of people, especially my friends. But, just walking on the street, I don't, it doesn't
Oh,
seem like I need to tell them.
strangers.
Yeah.
So so you grew up in this beautiful eccentric way, and then somehow you made it to Sedona. What's that journey look like?
Well, I moved to LA in 2007. And after being here a while, I started singing in party bands. So I was singing for many years, both in Las Vegas and Palm Springs, but also in Asia in nightclubs. And I, when my dad passed in 17, I felt like I needed a little bit extra soul searching. And so I decided I'm going to go to Sedona. I've never been, and I'm going to do a journey workshop there. So I went and I did a 3-day journey workshop with a shaman, just her and I, and it was wonderful. Like I felt like it was the first time that I was really able to truly meditate, really go into a deep state. Besides, when you're on stage, sometimes you go into that space. But just my whole life, trying to meditate, I was never able to get that deep as in a journey, in the journey session. So one of the things that came to me there was that I wasn't here to just sing to entertain people, but that I was here to use singing as a magical tool, as a healing tool. And I wasn't sure in the beginning what to do with that. But that came to me.
Well, that's a powerful message.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you
And
had to transition then, because you'd been singing in nightclubs and things like that.
yeah, yeah. And I'm still open to that. It doesn't exclude that what I'm doing now. It just means that I was singing what people wanted, what I thought people wanted to hear, instead of listening to, as the shaman said, instead of hearing what wants to be sung. Yeah. So I took some time to kind of go into that, and I kept journeying by myself when I came home. And then over a couple of months, I developed what I now have is called the Nordic Music Magic, which are these sessions where I sing things into being for people. So manifestation by song. And it was so interesting because while I was developing this is when I found out about the vølves of the north. So in the pre-Christian times of Scandinavia, we used to have these called vølves, or in Danish vølve, which means carrier of the magical staff. And these were typically women that would travel to villages when they were needed. And so if there was a bad hunting season or a sick child or something like that, they would call for the vølve, and she would come, and then she would use her staff, hold it. We don't know exactly how we used it. We think that they would use it to kind of stay grounded while they were traveling in different realms. And they would sit on a high seat, and then they would sing their magic songs. So singing things into being, singing the child well, singing the hunting season well. And this is what we call Seiðr, or some people call it Seiðr. And it includes the staff and the high seat and the singing. And the singing part is called Galdr. So Galdr means magical songs, I suppose. Yeah. So to me, I thought that was so powerful, that something that was in the history of my people of the North, and that came to me in a journey session, that I should use this method. And I didn't even know about that. This is what they used to practice.
Wow, that just came for you in a journey.
Yeah.
And then when you looked it up, you found that other people had been finding or had already known about this.
Yeah. Yeah, we know this from the Icelandic sagas. There's a saga called Volospa, I think it's pronounced, the vølves, for what's the word, like seeing in the future. And in this, you're shown how the vølve practiced her side. So this is one of where we know about the vølve. And they also had other methods. They would use something called udsitting. This is the Danish word for it. It means outsitting, where they would go out in nature and sit overnight to find answers or look for signs in nature. And so this is, like what we see in other shamanic traditions. So I also find it very interesting how there's so much of this that is recycled in all the different cultures all over the world. We've had shamanic traditions, and they're all so similar with either the drumming or singing or rattling to put the mind into theta wave state, where you actually can go into other realms and talk to spirits. They also believed in talking to spirits and nature spirits and ancestors was very important to them. So
yeah, I see that in the jungle. Like I studied with the Power Path, and they sing a lot of healing songs. They've taught us how to sing some healing songs to call in support like from plants and rocks and, you know, mountains, and just like singing the song to call in the help. And it's fun because when I sing these songs, like let's say I do a new moon ceremony and people tune in on Zoom, then everyone's like, oh, I feel the support coming in. Like you can feel it coming in. And even like sometimes during the ceremony that we're doing together, it gets very dense and thick because people are thinking about things that they want to release. And so the energy gets heavy and it's like, oh, you know, the stuff about lack or I don't have enough or all that kind of stuff. And it comes in and it feels really heavy and dense. And then I'll sing like one of these songs and call in the plants, and like it starts to shift. Like it just, like the song itself like clears the energy. It's amazing to me that it works that way. But is that kind of like your experience of it too?
Yeah, definitely. Singing, when you're singing with a purpose, it feels you're really connecting to something very deep within, and this is very old, powerful magic.
So you feel like it's so it's almost like you're connecting in with an aspect of consciousness that, like, that's a well-worn groove. Like that song's been sung, that melody has been sung, and that intention has been held for so long that it's got like its own medicine. And as you sing it, you're like invoking that medicine.
Well, we unfortunately we don't have any of the songs left from that time, because Christianity happened, and they
Yeah,
really wiped out.
a lot of the magic.
They tried to wipe out a lot of our old culture, yeah, in the north. So what I'm singing today is songs that are coming to me. And when I work with people in Nordic Music Magic sessions, I typically do 2 different sessions. So I start one session where we just do a journey workshop or journey session where I'm calling in their spirit guide. And in the north, we call this a vølve, which means someone who follows you at all times, in a good way, not a stalker. And so we start with that for like a 20-minute long journey session, so they connect with their vølve. And then I kind of have them come out of that state of mind, and then we talk about what they want to manifest. So after they connect with their spirit guide, with their vølve, they're even more centered, and they know more clearly like what they want to accomplish, what they want to bring forth in the world. So then we do another session where I'm singing in the energies that they want to bring forth in their lives. So I'm just singing if someone is asking for more for healing. I also use the reiki energy, so I'm singing chokorei, and singing in different notes, because I feel the different vibrations of the different notes, high and low, they connect to the different chakras. And I will do that. And like if someone is wanting to bring in a new love in their life, then I will call in the Nordic goddess Freya, who is the goddess for love and spring and magic and fruition. And so she will come and bless and bring that energy into their life. If they want more wisdom or power or something like that in their life, I sometimes call in Odin, the god of wisdom. So yeah, I typically work in this way. And then I also have, typically when I sing this, I sing in my own native language, because this is what is more I connect with easier, because it's my language, but I do have some songs that are in English, and so I typically end the session with an English song that I wrote called the Manifestation Song. And this is really to cement in what the work that we did in the session.
That's gorgeous. Man, I can feel the energies when you're bringing in, like when you called in Odin, I was like, ooh, there's Odin. Oh, that's like a real energy, like,
Yeah.
wow, that's powerful. And, so I could feel the Freya, the other energy. I was like, oh, I can feel it's so beautiful. So as we call in these gods and goddesses that have been working with people for thousands of years on this planet, it's like we get to experience a whole new doorway into understanding who we are and and the support of our ancestors and guides, right?
Yeah. And I feel that it helps us to connect better when we're using these traditions that are in our ancestral line. I think you can use any tradition that you feel called upon, but to me, it just felt very powerful to use what my ancestors have used, because they're also here trying to help me and trying to talk to me. And so what I really love about finding out that we have shamanic traditions in all cultures is that this opens the door for everyone to find these old traditions and make them useful today.
Yeah,
In
bring them
this,
forward today and open up the magic door again.
yeah.
It's so gorgeous. I love that. Gosh, I'm just so intrigued. I wonder if there's anything, if you feel it's appropriate, I wonder if there's anything you can offer to people so they get a sample of what it feels like to be, you know, with you using your gift.
Yeah, I mean, do you mean singing something now, or do you mean where
Yeah.
they can find it, or?
Do
Yeah, sure.
you feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, I can do that.
Because I think everybody's going to need some healing right about the time this episode goes live in November. Just
Yeah,
guessing.
yeah, it looks like from the astrology. Yeah.
Yeah. So yours is going to be out there in mid-November, and I think I'm just feeling into the energy of that, and I think people are going to be pretty struggling at that time, and maybe we can just bring something in for them for comfort.
Sure. Yeah, I can sing the manifestation song.
Okay.
You want to hear that?
So people should maybe think about what they want to manifest for themselves for just a moment, right? Like take a moment and just feel in your heart as to what it is you want to manifest for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. There is power within me. My focus is the key to unlocking my destiny. Who I choose to be. It is as I wish. It is as I see. Now I know it will be.
Beautiful. That's so gorgeous.
Thank you.
So how do you feel when you're inside of you and that's coming through?
I feel power, like an old, like an ancient power coming through. Yeah.
Does it feel, because it feels like your channel like open. I know when I do it, it's like this channel opens up like through my crown. Like I could just feel like this light column is all the way through me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I feel it the same way, but singing is definitely, my where my calling, I guess. Yeah. And the song, there are more verses to the song, but I just wanted to give a little
Little taste, because if you want the rest, you got to book a session.
yeah.
It's a little
Well,
enticement.
that or go online. I am doing recordings now, so they will be out and available for everyone probably by the time this is out.
So when you're singing a healing song, what's the space that you're in inside? Are you like, are you intending anything? Do you feel you're coming from your heart, or do you feel like You're just open like a hollow bone? Like, what's your experience of that as a healing person?
I definitely am in the theta wave state. So it feels like I'm in a very meditative state, and I am focusing on the energy that I'm singing.
Mm.
So
So
the
you're
song,
tuning yourself to the song, the energy of the song.
yeah. Typically, what I've done in the second session with people when we're working on what they want to manifest is it's just coming to me. I know the word and or the word for what they want to manifest, and I'm singing that or like calling it in, asking it in with the different deities that or spirits that could work with this, and then I'm just singing the notes that come to me. So this is just I guess like a jam session. um, but I am also working on I've started actually making songs that I want to put out and record, and so I have a bunch of songs ready, and I'm starting the recording process actually this week. um, so yeah, when I'm in that state, it's just intuitively focusing on what they told me. So I'm focusing on this energy. I want to bring this energy in, calling it in and feeling that energy, and then just envisioning that going into their field, their body and the field around them.
That's powerful. I know that a lot of the healing, like through this lineage that I've studied with the Power Path, they use these healing Icaro songs many times with people, and they'll use it in combination with their feathers or tobacco or things like that. And but then there's a certain point where they just kind of will just place their hand over your heart area and just feel what's there, and then allow that feeling, like a song comes forth from that feeling sense that they have with that. And then they'll just start singing that resonance, that song, and that song becomes the medicine that then like you actually need, and you can feel it as a recipient of that song. You can feel it changing things in you, or like shifting or making more space or opening up, healing. And um and as a person, so I've been the recipient of those songs, and then I've also invited those songs to come through me on behalf of others. And I can feel like this energy coming through, like especially when I get out of my head about it, like if I'm not trying to remember certain words or something like that, but just tuning myself to the vibration and then letting it come through. I can feel it is healing, like it's coming through. The more I can tune to that space clearly, it's like coming through and making a shift for this person effortlessly, actually, as the more I open to it and get out of here, like, and just allow it to come through.
Mm. Yeah, that's beautiful. I will try to incorporate that.
Oh, well, I love to have these conversations, Emma, because I'm so like curious about how it works. Like I'm curious about, I know my experience of it, but I'm always so curious about what are other people experiencing with it as well, because it feels like we're reawakening ancient medicine as we're talking about. And in the reawakening of this ancient medicine, it feels like it's a very intuitive, like exploration process. Actually, it's not like there's a book that's just going to show you how to, tell you how to do it. Like
Yeah.
it's a feeling, sensing, dreaming, listening process.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I guess I am just trusting that that whatever needs to happen is happening, because I already opened sacred space and I called in my guides, and I know I am working with different shamans from different traditions on the other side. So I am also just trusting that that they're there, and also the person that I'm working on, that their ancestors are there, and also everyone is helping to bring in the energy. So for me, I just trust that process, that everyone is helping when I'm singing what they want to bring forth. That is what is happening.
How did you get into the space that you can trust the process like that?
Um, I don't know. Maybe my upbringing, being raised in that kind of environment where you just, you are nourished to and encouraged to trust yourself and your feelings. Um, yeah, I think my mom really is is such a balancing and calming woman for me that I just, even though I came in a little turbulent when I was born, she really nurtured me in just the right way that I feel so safe and I feel so protected, and I always feel like I never feel alone. I always feel like there are helpers around me. Um, yeah, I don't know why I just trust that.
Gosh, that's really gorgeous because that's a unique experience. I think I, we always witness things that we expect to see, right? And my journey's been a little more turbulent in that regard. So I witnessed people having less of a connection or less of a trust in the process, right? Having a sense of like, is there something here for me? And if there is, how do I know it? How can I be sure? So it's refreshing to have access to somebody who's like, oh, well, I just know it. I feel it. And I'm sure of
Well,
it.
yeah, and then also, all the sessions that I've done since I started doing this, people are really feel, they always tell me that they really feel like it made a shift in their lives. And I remember there was one woman who came to me, with her husband, and their house had been burned down in the fire here in Malibu a couple years ago, and she was also sick at the time, and so they wanted, healing and a true home because they'd been living from house to house for a long time. And um and then they emailed me a couple weeks later and said, yeah, just like a few days after we were there, um we got the house that is just our right house, our home. And the lady also was healed. And so things like that, when people tell me not just on the day how they feel like it really changed, but they also write to me later, or yeah, then it's just confirmation that what I was feeling was true.
Yeah, it's so powerful. Same thing for me, like when I started opening to this path and I went to the Four Winds Light Body School and they started training us like, okay, here's the medicine, here's how you practice it, that kind of thing. And which was really fortunate to have that kind of third dimensional assistance, because I was really like trapped in my brain. So it helped me start get out of that. But like starting to trust the intuitive part, the trusting the listening to another person and journeying on behalf of them, and getting the messages, and then having this construct that allowed you to like check it, like, hey, I got this message, is that accurate for you? And the person would be like, yes, oh my gosh, that's so accurate for me. And then to be doing the healing sessions after that, and people would be like saying that, I'd be like, well, this is what I'm seeing or hearing. And I felt so timid about it at first, like, oh, I don't know, because I was just not sure, like I didn't want to trot all over somebody's life, by telling them something I saw if it's not accurate. And then people would be like, yeah, so that validation is really key, I think, in building the spiritual practice. When you're in service to other people, you've got to have those moments of like, okay, yes, this is okay, I can relax into this piece and trust it.
Yeah, for sure. It's very helpful. Yeah.
So what are your dreams of where you want to take this medicine that you have?
I want to take it, I want to release it into the world so more people can benefit. And I would love to put a group together, and when we can again travel and tour, I would love to actually have a band that plays magical songs and playing rituals, doing rituals on stage. And actually, so you're going to a show, you're actually, you're taking part in a huge ritual. And, obviously, for the benefit of the world, I do see there are a few bands that do this, but they're typically like metal type bands. And so it doesn't really, most people in like new age or shamanic environments, they don't really feel called to that. They feel maybe it's a little too dark. Like, what are they actually calling in? If the music sounds like
sounds
like
like
it's
that.
demonic.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to call in some loving, healing energies and guides into your music, so that people are getting a healing experience just by listening to the music.
Yeah, and I also want to release music that doesn't just sound like a new age song or hippie music, but it's actually something that you want to hear again and again and again, because it's just great music.
Or because it's touching your heart in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Because
it's opening
often,
you up.
it can, like, sometimes it can feel a little silly, like old music that has been made. Like, I know some people feel that way, at least. And I want to make it more broad. I want more people to be able to connect with it. And so instead of listening to Beyonce, maybe they're listening to magical songs. But it's approachable. It might not be pop music, but it's still more approachable than pagan music.
Yes, I love that idea. So making it more mainstream, so that people start to feel called to the music. They don't even understand that they're getting healed by listening to the song, and then they just feel better and they listen to more of it, and then that keeps opening up their channel to where they're now actually like realizing, oh, I have support, oh, I've got ancestors, oh, wait a second, there's angels here, oh my goodness.
Yes.
Like opening them to that like realization, without it being like, some kind of Christian station, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
for the rest of
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so if anyone is listening and they are musicians and they feel called to this, hit me up, because I need a band.
Well, that was an invocation. So beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
so this is gorgeous. So how do people get started working with you if they want to try this out?
They can contact me, go to my website, nordicmusicmagic.com, and just reach out there. They can book a session if they're in the area. I'm in Topanga, in the mountains next to LA. So if they're in this area, they can book a session and come see me.
Do you do the sessions over Zoom as well for people that don't live out there?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done it before, but I suppose I could. Yeah.
Yeah, why not open to that? I mean,
Yeah, you're right.
all right. Well, see, I just made another shift.
Yeah.
So awesome. So, well, good. So, and you also have a podcast, which I was just on as well.
Yes. The podcast is Nordic Magic Link, and you can find that on most podcast platforms and YouTube as well. And if you listen and you like it and you share it, you can tag me on Instagram. It's Nordic Magic Link there as well. And if you want to check out my music, my personal music, what I've done in the past, it's emmacairo.com or Emma Cairo on Spotify or wherever you listen. And Cairo, that's just like the capital of Egypt.
Why did you pick that? Why did you pick that name?
I knew I wanted to, because I remember we talked about this on my podcast 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about changing names and numerology and that type of thing. And none of us, you and I, we didn't do it because of numerology, but because of something that came to us. So I'd already changed my other names when I was a child. And so when I turned 18, I just wanted my last name to also resonate. And I had a dream where I switched lives with a girl named Carol. And Carol was, might be a little funny, but she was like the girlfriend of a gang leader. So she was like living this very different life and very exciting life if you're into TV shows or movies about you know, mysteries and that kind of thing. Not that I am, but it just kind of showed like, so I was living in a life where I was sitting in my room reading books, looking out the window. So I think it was just my subconsciousness showing me a completely different, if you can imagine the most different life that you can imagine from yours, it was Carol's life. And we switched lives in this dream. And it was just so powerful, the feeling of you could change your life so dramatically.
Yes.
I wanted something of Carol with me, and that's how I came to Cairo.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, I love that sense of like you can change everything, because I also have had that realization that identity is just so flexible. Like you
Right.
actually, the less you're attached to it, the more you can really change it.
Yes, for sure.
Beautiful. Wow, that's a good note to go out on. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And, you know, definitely everybody, if you enjoyed this, you should go up and check out Emma and get an appointment and try out the song, the healing songs, and let it uplift you. And, you know, if you want to share this out and make sure it gets out to more people who might be needing some healing songs right about now, you can share this out on social media or to your friends, or you can give it a like and a subscribe. You can, you know, give it a nice rating. Just whatever you can do to engage with it will help us to reach more people. So thank you for doing that in advance. And we're going to give you kisses. You want to help give kisses on the way out?
Sure.
Here come the kisses, everybody. Here come your kisses. Okay.
Thank you, Carrie. Thanks
Thank
for having
you.
me. Appreciate it.
And we'll see you guys next time on Soul Nectar Show. Bye for now.